Good morning to all. In the mechanical operations, our next unit is unit number. Our next discussion is unit number 4. That is separation of solid based on specific property. Okay. So in the first unit, first we discuss about the what is solid and what is the size of solid. Then after we reducing size using various law and various equipment. Okay. Then after we screening the types of solid based on their specific size. Okay. After then we discussing the mixing processes and agitations, and now today's topic is based on linked with unit 1 and 2, that is solid separations. Okay, so now right now we are discussing separation of solid based on specific property. Okay, that is your unit number 4. Okay, so now it is necessary to do the separation of solids based on specific property. Okay, so what are the main advantages to do this? Okay, so let's see that classifications and clarifications. Okay, and main things we discuss it. In this chapter, we will deal with the method of separating solid particles based on specific property. Okay. Now, screening is generally most satisfactory method of separating relatively coarse material or a coarse solid according to the size, but with very fine particles uh, which would clog the fine apertures of the screen, for which it is possible to make the opening sufficient fine. So the method is impracticable, and in such a cases of settling process is used. એટલે કે જનરલી શું હતું કે most of the common used of the size separation is screening, but more about the for the coarse material. Okay, so it is required like a small size or powder size material, how it can be reducing, so using this method. Okay, this method of separations depends on different in a behavior of particle in a moving fluid and separate materials solid particles according to their terminal flowing velocity, which is turn depends upon the size and density. Exactly what happened here in this method, we are trying to separate particles based upon what function first. The main function first is that the fluid is in moving portion. The method of separating which is particle is in moving fluid. Okay, and then in which we are separating uh, particles based on their velocity, and then it's which is depend upon size. जो वेलोसिटी होगी फ्लूइड की, वो किसके ऊपर डिपेंड करेगा? दैट इज द साइज ऑफ द मटेरियल. ओके, જે સાઇઝ ઉપર શું કરશે? સાઇઝ મટીરિયલના સાઇઝ પર ડિપેન્ડ કરશે. અને ડેન્સિટી ઓલ્સો ડેન્સિટી ઇઝ માસ અપોન વોલ્યુમ. ઓકે, so it is also depends upon the density. So other method of separation depend upon different in magnetic property. In this chapter also we are discussing the separation thing is separation method is magnetic property, fluids magnetic property. That means magnetic behavior is already in the fluid particles. If that is not possible, so in some of them particles are charged either positively or negatively, then it becomes a positive or negative charged material, and then it will be separating. So it is called magnetic separations. And then electric properties, it consumes electrostatic separation or a surface properties, that is fourth flotations of the material. So these are the new methods and new techniques which is separating particle size is a core. That means it is a the particle size is very small compared to the size reductions material. So there is a number of method is available in this technique, is that magnetic separations, electric or electrostatic separations, and then after surface property. Basically it is a fourth flotation of the material. Okay, now how can we define the classifications? Classification is a method of separating solid particles into fractions based upon or according to their terminal flowing or settling velocity. Classifications, how can be defined? That classification is defined that कि जो भी सेपरेटिंग सॉलिड्स है, सॉलिड पार्टिकल्स है, उसको बेसिकली दे आर कन्वर्टेड और it will be separating basically on the purpose of function of according to their terminal flowing velocity and settling velocity. Settling velocity, that is the material is settled due to its velocity. Okay, so these are the definitions of classifications. So classification is method of separating solid particles into fractions based upon the according to their terminal or terminal flowing, falling and settling velocities. Suppose for example that the solid particles to be separated are fed in suspensions into tank. Suppose example solid particles to be separated, solid particles ને separate કરી દીધા છે અને ક્યાં and then they are fed into the suspension into tank containing water. કે જે પાણી ભરેલું ટેન્ક છે એની અંદર શું કરવામાં આવે છે, આ પાણી સસ્પેન્ડેડ પાર્ટિકલ્સને શું કરવામાં આવે છે, ફેડ મૂકવામાં આવે છે, એન્ટર કરવામાં આવે છે. And so the water containing a large cross section area into the vessel, because the suspension of solid particles are small compared to the liquid contained like a water. So the cross sectional area of water containing water which is greater than. So when a feed stream enters the tank, that means feed stream, that is our particle, suspension particle, the horizontal velocity component decrease and the particles start to settle. That means at the first time the particles are fed on the surface of the solid as per the settling velocity. Settling, that means a particle which is should have some density and mass. So due to this and also from the gravity force acting on the particles, it should be down top surface to it becomes goes on the bottom surface of the vessel. So it's called a settling velocity. Okay, and the particles start to settle, and the faster settling particles reach the bottom of the tank before the slower settling particles. That means in the simple words said, simply said that in this suspensions particle whose particle size is greater or it having a greater density. Okay, so it becomes fastly goes to the bottom suspending, and other which have a low density, it will be slowly settling. Okay, so the faster settling particles will accumulate near the inlet entrance. So the faster settling particles એ શું કરશે, તળિયામાં એકદમ નીચે બેસી જશે, જે શું કરશે એક્ઝેક્ટલી જ્યાંથી આપણે શું કરવાનું છે, આઉટલેટ મેળવવાનું છે, આઉટલેટ બરાબર, તો એના ટોપ પોર્શનમાં આવી જશે. હવે જેમ કે ઉપરથી આપણે શું કરીએ છીએ, પાર્ટિકલ એન્ટર કરીએ છીએ, તો નીચેથી આપણે શું કરીશું, આઉટલેટ હશે આપણું, તો આઉટલેટ પરથી આપણે શું કરીશું, પાર્ટિકલને રિમૂવ કરીશું. બરાબર. While the slower settling particles, which are carried further because of relatively slow settling rate, જ્યારે જેની ડેન્સિટી અથવા તો જેની સ્લો સેટલિંગ જે રેટ છે એના લીધે શું થશે, એ ટોપ પોર્શનમાં શું થશે, એ સેટલ થશે, અને જે શું થશે, એક્ઝિટ અથવા આઉટલેટ થવામાં શું હશે, નિયર ટુ ટોપ પોર્શનમાં હશે. બરાબર. So another way to separate the particles would be place two particles having a different settling velocity rates in a rising stream of water. Another way, next we can type say that. So another way of the settling particles, separate particle, is said that if particle would be two particles which having a different velocity of settling in the rising stream, so obviously the particle which having a different settling velocity, so they are सेटलिंग वेलोसिटी के हिसाब से वो क्या होंगे, सेटल होंगे. सो बेसिकली इट इज़ सेपरेटिंग. If the velocity of the water is so adjust, so that is lie between the terminal settling velocity of two particle, then the slower settling particle will be carried upward by the water, and the faster settling particle will simultaneously move downward against the water stream and settle out to the bottom, so thus achieving a separation. Exactly as per the words, those particles whose settling velocity is higher, they are separated at they are goes on the bottom of the vessel, and they are kept out by the outlet valve. Okay, simply said that if those who are settling velocity is low, they are on the set after the faster particles. Okay. Then next one is that a device that separates the solid into two fractions is called classifier. Simply said that what here is the definition is given. What is classifier and what is clarifier? So these definitions and the question is asked in a GTU. So it is important terms. So you have to remember first. Classifier is do only two solid particles are separated into two fractions only. That's it. A device that separates a solid into two fractions is called classifier. Okay. બે સેક્શનની અંદર વેચી દે, સૌથી નાના અને સૌથી મોટા. બરાબર, નાના અને મોટા પાર્ટિકલ્સ. બરાબર, એક સિમ્પલ એક્ઝામ્પલ. સો ધ પ્રોડક્ટ સ્ટ્રીમ્સ આર ઓબ્ટેન ફ્રોમ એની ક્લાસિફાયર ઇઝ. સો જેથી કરીને કોઈપણ પાર્ટિકલ્સ, કોઈપણ ક્લાસિફાયરમાંથી જે આપણને મળતી પ્રોડક્ટ હશે, એ પ્રોડક્ટ કેવી હશે? પેલું, a product first is having partially drained fraction contain the coarse material called the sand, and fine fraction together with remaining liquid medium called the overflow. એટલે કે એક મળશે ઇનલેટ અને એક મળશે આઉટલેટ. બરાબર, જે ઓવરફ્લો. તો કે જે પાર્શલી ડ્રેન થાય છે ફ્રેક્શનને લીધે, તો કોર્સ મટીરિયલ જે એકદમ હલકા પદાર્થો છે એને કહેવામાં આવે સેન્ડ, એટલે કે જે હશે ભારે પદાર્થો. બરાબર, ભારે એટલે હેવી, સેન્ડ. એન્ડ ફાઇન ફ્રેક્શન, એકદમ ફાઇન હશે, જે શું કહેવામાં આવે છે, લિક્વિડની અંદર રહી જાય છે, એને શું કહેવામાં આવે છે? લિક્વિડ ફ્લો. It's called overflow. In the classification operation, the coarse solid that are settled at the bottom of the pool of the fluid pump are removed by gravity. બરાબર, ગ્રેવિટેશનલ ફોર્સના લીધે એ શું થાય છે? રિમૂવ થાય છે. સિમ્પલી છે that. And mechanical means or induced pressure, while the solid which do not settle are taken out as an overflow from the pool. As per in some case of the operation, it should be a created pressure on the bottom of the vessel, so that from that it will be fast. It will be do the fast settling processes. Okay. Now, so other fundamentals and other things will be we discussing in the next lecture. So in the next lecture we discuss what is gravity settling tank. Okay, how it's work and where it is used.